They say love fades, but the truth is it only changes shape, evolving beautifully through time. In a smile that feels like home, in arms that still remember you, and in the quiet moments when hearts speak louder than words. This isn't just a story, it's a heartbeat, a shared journey of connection and enduring affection. You're watching Love and Us, where every precious moment stays, cherished and remembered forever.
The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. Not a storm that breaks things, but the kind that lingers. It didn't crash or roar, it simply stayed. A constant whisper against windows, a reminder that the world outside was still moving, even if Mia wasn't. Her new house smelled of paint and cardboard. Boxes lined the living room like silent witnesses. She had left everything behind, her job, her apartment, her marriage, and come here, to the quiet edge of a town that didn't know her name. Starting over had sounded simple when she said it out loud. But sitting here now, wrapped in a blanket that smelled faintly of her old life, it just felt lonely. She turned toward the window. The yard was still. Until something moved. A shadow, low to the ground, stepping through the mist. Then, she saw it, a dog. Thin. Soaked through. Standing in the rain, right by her porch steps, staring up at her as if he'd been waiting all night. He didn't bark, didn't move, just stood there. Mia slowly opened the door, the soft hiss of rain greeting her. "Hey," she whispered. "You lost." The dog tilted his head, but didn't come closer. His fur clung to him like a second skin, grey-brown and matted, his ribs faintly visible. Mia's heart ached. She went back inside, grabbed a small bowl, and poured in some leftover soup. When she came back, the dog was still there. She set the bowl down on the porch and took a few steps back. "Here you go, buddy." The dog looked from her to the bowl, then took one cautious step forward, sniffed, and ate. Mia smiled, kneeling just enough to be eye level. "You're safe here," she whispered. He didn't stay, but when she woke up the next morning, there he was again, sitting by the fence that divided her yard from the neighbors. Mia took a towel outside, crouching by the fence. "You again." A deep voice startled her from the other side. "You shouldn't feed him." She turned quickly. A man stood there, tall, broad-shouldered, with weathered hands and grey at his temples. His voice carried the calm of someone used to silence. "He'll never leave if you feed him," he said again, though his tone softened at the end. Mia frowned. Maybe he's not supposed to. He hesitated, then nodded once. "Suit yourself." She watched him walk away. His name, she later learned, was Daniel, the neighbor who rarely came out, except to fix the same section of his fence every few weeks. That night, she left a blanket near the porch. The next morning, it was gone. In its place, a silver dog bowl sat by the fence, filled with fresh water. Days turned into quiet rituals. Mia would leave food. Daniel would bring something sturdier, chicken, sometimes canned meat. Neither of them talked about it, but somehow they started sharing more than a dog. The dog, who she started calling Buddy, never chose sides. He slept in the middle, between both yards. Sometimes, she'd see Daniel sitting there in the late evening, sipping tea and scratching Buddy's ears. And sometimes, he'd see Mia outside with her notebook, humming softly as she watched the rain. Their conversations began simply. "Morning," he'd say. "Evening," she'd answer. But small words have a way of becoming habits. One day, she found Daniel by the fence again, brushing mud from his boots. She pointed to the dog. "So, was he yours?" Daniel shook his head. "No, he was hers." Hers. He looked up. His eyes softened. "My wife. She found him years ago. Used to say he was her shadow. After she passed, he stopped coming home." Mia didn't ask what happened next. Some stories didn't need words. That night, it rained harder than ever. The kind of rain that turns streets into rivers and thoughts into ghosts. Mia couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong. Then she heard it, a faint whimper outside. She ran to the porch. "Buddy." She called out. The lightning flashed, revealing him, trapped against the fence, paw caught in a broken plank. "Buddy," She ran barefoot into the storm, kneeling beside him as thunder rolled overhead. Her fingers trembled as she tried to free him. Then, a flashlight beam cut through the darkness. "Daniel, hold him steady," he shouted over the rain. Together, they pulled the plank loose. Buddy whimpered but didn't fight. When he was finally free, Daniel scooped him up, and the three of them stumbled back to Mia's porch, soaked to the bone. Daniel's hand brushed hers as they wrapped Buddy in an old blanket. For a moment, they just sat there, breathing, drenched, alive. He looked at her and smiled faintly. "You didn't have to come out here." She smiled back. "Neither did you." And then, quietly, they both laughed. That fragile kind of laughter that comes after surviving something together. The storm passed, but something between them stayed. Daniel started dropping by more often, sometimes with coffee, sometimes with silence. They'd sit by the fence and talk about small things. She learned he was a carpenter who'd stopped building after his wife's death. He learned she was a writer who'd stopped writing after her heart was broken. Two people who had once loved too deeply, now learning how to exist again, slowly, carefully. One morning, he said, "You know, that dog doesn't just bring people together." She looked up. "What do you mean?" Daniel smiled. "He reminds them they're still capable of love." Weeks passed. The sun began returning, shyly at first, then with warmth. The fence was still there, but it no longer felt like a wall. Sometimes, Buddy would press his head through the gaps, and Daniel would reach over to scratch behind his ears. Other times, Mia would sit by the fence with her notebook, writing for the first time in months. One afternoon, she looked up to find Daniel fixing the fence again. "What are you doing?" she asked, smiling. He paused, hammer in hand, thinking it might be time to take this down. She blinked. "Won't that ruin our arrangement?" He grinned softly. "Maybe it'll make something better." He started pulling off one plank, then another. The sunlight spilled through the gaps, golden and alive. When Buddy ran through the opening, straight into Mia's arms, she laughed, the kind of laugh that sounded like sunlight. Daniel stepped through after him, and for the first time, there was nothing between them. Spring came. The grass grew wild, and Buddy's fur shone in the light again. Mia wrote on the porch every morning, and Daniel built a new gate where the fence used to be. A small, beautiful reminder that love doesn't erase boundaries, it simply opens them. Sometimes they'd walk Buddy together down the dirt road after the rain, their hands brushing, their silence easy. "Do you ever miss her?" Mia asked one evening. Daniel looked at the sky, his eyes distant. "Every day. But it doesn't hurt the same anymore." She nodded. "Maybe that's what healing is. It still rains, just doesn't flood." He smiled. "Yeah, something like that." They stopped walking when Buddy barked at something in the distance, a rabbit darting through the grass. They laughed together, the sound carrying softly across the fields. Later, back on the porch, Daniel took her hand, not with urgency, but with understanding. And Mia, for the first time in years, didn't pull away. Because sometimes love doesn't come crashing in. Sometimes, it waits quietly, just beyond the fence. And if you're lucky, you hear it calling before you're ready to believe again.